Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, All About the Goddess. The Goddess Next Door bears all in the art studio to catch a campus stalker in this action-packed Isis series mystery. Get your copy of Isis, All About the Goddess in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Better get the coleslaw, y'all, cause we're having us a barbecue. Conservative commentator Candice Owens caused a firestorm of controversy when she stated on social media that pornography needs to be banned. Now, according to Candice Owens, in a tweet that she posted on the social media site X, formerly known as Twitter, she stated that pornography needs to be banned because it causes a psychological weakness intended to weaken our men. Now, the critical question I have to ask Candice Owens is, what group of men is she talking about? Is she talking about heterosexual black men who she said she wanted absolutely nothing to do with, or is she talking about white men like the one that she's married to? Now, the reason why I asked that critical question is because Candice Owens basically has become irrelevant as related to the far-right groups that she used to be a part of that were filled with white men like Ben Shapiro, after she made statements supporting the Palestinians in the recent conflict that Israel is having with Hamas. And ever since Candice Owens made statements to support the Palestinians as related to the conflict between Israel and Hamas, she's basically alienated many of her far-right white supremacist paymasters who hired her to be the token black bootlick who would go out here and represent what they call black conservatism. And with her being kicked out of the Daily Wire, which was Ben Shapiro's website, Candice Owens really hasn't had a place to be the token mouthpiece to parrot white supremacist talking points too. And ever since she found out that she got kicked out of the Daily Wire, she's looked to try to crawl back to the black community. And as she tried to crawl back to the black community, all of the people who are a part of new black media basically let Candice Owens know that the door was closed. And once we let her know that the door was closed at the gates and kept those from coming through our gates, talking about how she was going to be a part of black empowerment, she really hasn't had a place to go out here and be a mouthpiece as related to somebody else's narrative. And with her having no place to be a mouthpiece for the right, what she's doing right now is hoping to try to garner some attention from those on the right by making a generalized statement, hoping to see where she can still be relevant. That's where this post on X is all about. This whole post on X is all about Candice Owens trying to find out if she is still relevant as a mouthpiece for the right, and if she can go out here and generate enough controversy to be able to find herself another institution where she can find a place where she can get a job at. That's what this whole ban pornography argument from her is all about. And those who wind up taking sides on that argument basically failed the crap test that Candice Owens is trying to pull. They basically wound up failing the crap test that Candice Owens is trying to pull as related to getting this attention for herself and hoping that someone will hear her talking points and look to offer her a job with another far-right institution. Now, this entire argument that Candice Owens has on pornography, again, is one that makes absolutely no logical sense if you understand sex and sexuality as related to the human condition. Now, when it comes to sex and sexuality, one of the reasons why pornography became popular is due to the sexual shame that many people in the West are raised to have regarding sex and sexuality. This is one of the reasons why people go out here and are accessing pornography, because most Western people, like those in America, are taught to be ashamed of sex. Instead of seeing it as a natural biological process, what they do is start to become ashamed of themselves and ashamed of acting in a sexual manner. And because they are taught this shame, they're not taught to be seeing sex as just something natural or something normal. And because they're not taught that sex is something natural or normal, what happens to a lot of people is they start going to explore sex and sexuality in a place I call the secret world in my book, The Man Crisis, and I also talk about this in depth in my book, The Woman Crisis. Now, the secret world is a place that people like beta males and feminists go to because they are taught to be ashamed of their natural sexuality, their natural masculinity, and their natural femininity. And because they are taught to be ashamed of their natural sexuality, what happens is these people enter a secret place, and in that secret place they start exploring their sexuality because they believe that this is some sort of taboo, and this taboo is something that they're doing is wrong. And because they believe that this is something they're doing wrong in secret, they actually get a rush from participating in these sex acts. And again, instead of them understanding the natural pleasure that they can enjoy with a partner, what they do is explore things as related to sex in secret. And again, as they explore things in secret, this puts people on the road to having the psychological weakness that Candice Owens talks about. What happens is that as they are exploring this deviant sexual acts in secret, what happens is they wind up looking to try to learn more about sex. And because things aren't out in the open, what happens is they start looking to find information in the secret world. And as they look to find information in the secret world, what happens is these individuals wind up entering into the world of adult entertainment. Now, as they enter into the world of adult entertainment, they are not entering that world to be able to explore sex and sexuality out in the open. No, what they're doing is going to a secret place, and inside of that secret place, what they're doing is learning not about healthy sexual relationships, where people learning how to bond with a partner during sex and learning how to share in a relationship, because the way men and women have sex is different as related to relationships to what you see in pornography. Now, in pornography, you are seeing a visual, physical sex act, and you're not learning about the emotional or spiritual or mental bonds that are done during that act. And again, this is where people really, they wind up being weakened psychologically by watching this material, because as they watch this material out of context, what they learn is about the physical act, and they learn to be turned on by the physical act and the rush and the high they receive from watching the physical act, and they really don't understand the emotional, mental, and spiritual aspects of sex, where you learn that when a man and a woman have sex together, it's again where the two of them are coming together mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, and becoming one under the Most High God. That's what a lot of people aren't taught, because most people in the West are taught to be ashamed of sex and sexuality. And because they are taught to be ashamed of sex and sexuality, what happens to most people in the West is they learn about sex in the secret world, and as they look to explore their curiosities about sex in the secret world, this is where they get put on the road to pornography. And as they get put on the road to adult entertainment, what happens to those people is they wind up getting taken advantage of by individuals who look to go out here and weaponize their whole shame about sex and use that to, again, weaken them. And that's where the West is right now, because what happens with people because of their sexual shame is that we have institutions like Hollywood, Madison Avenue, and the adult film industry basically weaponizing sex, because most Americans are taught to be ashamed of sex, and what they do is weaponize sex to use it to manipulate and control people. Now, Madison Avenue uses people's shame of sex to use sex to sell people products, because they know that people basically are curious about sex, and just seeing any sort of half-naked woman basically allows them to explore that taboo and that curiosity. And as they explore that taboo and curiosity, they wind up getting caught up in buying products that they really wouldn't need, but because they are caught up in their taboo, what they do is look to go out here and buy those products because they want to, again, explore their sexuality in the secret world. That's how Madison Avenue gets to sell you products, and Hollywood sells you movies by giving you films with lots of nudity and sex scenes in them, because you get to be like a voyeur and get to explore your curiosity as related to sex. And as you're exploring your curiosity as related to sex, you're exploring the taboo. And again, as you explore the taboo in the secret world, you sit there and again look to watch movies with a lot of nudity and sex in it. And this basically sells a lot of the R-rated movies to a lot of people, especially young adolescents, who are extremely curious about sex. And that's how they sell movies and TV shows to you. They use your sexual shame to get you to explore these taboos that you believe you've been programmed to believe, and that's part of the psychological weapon. Now, the adult film industry also does this because you get to see more than what you would in a Madison Avenue ad or a Hollywood movie. Now, a Madison Avenue ad may show you a topless woman from the back, or it may show you a nude woman in a pose sideways, or it may show you different poses. And a Hollywood movie may show you some topless women, but with adult films, you get to see all of the body parts that are considered to be shameful. Moreover, you get to see those body parts basically in action. And again, this is all about looking to, again, psychologically control people's sexuality and get them to explore these taboos, because as they are shamed for looking at this kind of content in public, what they do is go look at it in private. And again, this is about looking to control a man or a woman's sexuality. And again, these taboos basically are the reason why people become so curious about adult entertainment when they are in the adolescence. And as they are in adolescence, they become, again, caught up in the taboo. And again, the taboo is what leads to you entering the secret world and what leads to people getting that high and that rush. And as they're getting that high and that rush, what happens to those people is they, instead of them learning healthy understandings about sex and sexuality, what they do is learn about looking to explore sex in an unhealthy fashion, and that unhealthy fashion basically leads to them looking to see sex as something that is done as, again, a taboo, but that leads to them entering a place I call the secret world. And the secret world is where men get weakened, because instead of them learning to explore sex and sexuality intimately with a partner in a relationship, what they learn is how to explore sex in a very disconnected and detached fashion all by themselves as they consume and imbibe this media. And as they consume and imbibe this media, they learn to hide their natural, healthy sexuality and, in some cases, masculinity and femininity. And this is what leads to people winding up on the road to starting to explore things like sexual deviancy. And that's where Candice Owens really gets it twisted, because it's that shame and taboo that basically are going to open the door for this whole situation with adult entertainment to actually get worse. Because what's going to happen if you ban adult entertainment is you're going to wind up in a situation similar to what we had during Prohibition during the 1920s and 1930s. Now, back in the 1920s, women like Candice Owens, mostly white women, were upset because their white men were going to the bars on Saturday nights after work at the plants. And after going to work at the plants, these men would go and be drunk all day, and they would cause accidents on Saturday and Sunday with their drinking and get into fights. And these white women, who were basically like the feminists, were upset that these guys were getting involved with the young, attractive flapper girls during the 20s. And what they wanted to do to get things so-called moral was go out and look to try to ban alcohol and ban the sale of alcohol. That was the plan that these white women had. I believe they were called moralists. What they wanted to do was ban alcohol, and they lobbied Congress and the Senate to pass the prohibition laws, and they thought the prohibition laws would be able to stop men from drinking. Unfortunately, what they did was go out here, and as they looked to shame drinking and drinking alcohol, was they turned it into a taboo. And once they turned it into a taboo, it made people's curiosity get stronger, and that increased curiosity is what increased the demand for consuming alcohol, and this opened the door for opportunists like those in organized crime to be able to try to sell alcohol to people, because as it became a taboo and people became curious about it, they looked to try to find out what alcohol was all about, and that led to the opening up of these illegal speakeasies, and that opening up of the illegal speakeasies basically created the whole structure for organized crime known as the mafia in the United States. And as organized crime controlled the sale and distribution of illegal alcohol, this led to turf wars between local families, and those local families, as they had their turf wars, basically created a very violent situation here in the United States. And things got so bad as related to the prohibition laws and their just abject failure that the United States had to concede that banning alcohol outright wasn't working, and as a result, by about 1933, we had a constitutional amendment to repeal the constitutional amendment banning alcohol, because crime was so out of control, and organized crime was gaining more and more not only economic power, but also gained political power in all across the country. And again, they were able to build wealth where there was no wealth, because people like these white women, who were these moralists, basically gave these organizations an opportunity to open the door and capitalize on the taboo and people's natural curiosity for it. And it got to the point where celebrities and all sorts of prominent people were drinking. Again, some people who would never drink were drinking because the taboo was out here. And again, as the taboo was out here, what was happening with these people was they were getting caught up in their taboo. And again, looking to explore that curiosity to find out what this was all about. And the same thing happened with adult entertainment when it started to become mainstream during the sexual revolution. Now, during the days of the 1920s, 1930s, there was always adult pictures out there. And again, they were in a little secret place. But once we got into the 1960s and 1970s with the rise of the feminist movement and the sexual revolution, we started to see the rise of mainstream adult entertainment, and there were efforts to try to talk about looking to ban this entertainment. However, all that did was basically, because people were ashamed of sex, make this into a taboo, and people looked to go out here and explore this type of media with their curiosities. And as they looked to explore it because of their curiosity, what it did was make it more popular. And that's what would happen if we went out here and followed Candice Owens' whole proposal of banning adult entertainment. What would happen is you would make this media even more popular. And as you made it more popular, what you would see is more people looking to pursue it. And as they would look to pursue it, it would again lead to the rise of organized crime, which they were originally a part of controlling adult entertainment in this country. They would look to gain control, because if you shut down the OnlyFans, if you shut down the Pornhubs, if you shut down the X-Hamsters and the Spank Banks and all of these other sites that are out here, what is going to happen is you're going to put it back in the hands of organized crime. And again, organized crime will go out here and look for people to explore these taboos. And again, this is going to be basically weaponized by those in organized crime. And that's going to be where our men are going to be weakened even worse, because they're going to look to make compromises to get access to this media. Look to get access to this media because what they're going to do is, because they are told that it's a taboo and they are looking to try to find more information about sex, what they're going to do is look to find information about pornography, because they consider porn to be the place where you can get information about sex. And that's going to lead to a lot of these men winding up exploring sex in the secret world instead of looking to find open information about sex where they can learn about how to have a healthy sexual relationship. Because the whole thing is that people need to learn about sex. And again, people need to be in a place where they can feel safe about learning about sex and getting healthy information about sex. I mean, there are lots of good websites out here like theclitoris.com that have good information about sex, and there are lots of good websites out here with healthy information that presents you a healthy picture of sex. And these are the places that people need to go to, because again, when you learn about sex out in the open, when you learn about sex in a healthy manner, you don't see it as a taboo. And again, you don't want to go out here and look to explore adult entertainment and correlate adult entertainment with sex. No, you learn to try to find healthy information about sex, and you don't get caught up in these whole campaigns by Madison Avenue in Hollywood to try to control your sexuality. That's what you do when you get good information. And again, what Candice Owens is talking about would basically, again, take us back on the road to making people ashamed about sex. And that's why adult entertainment is such a big business, because people in the West are taught to be ashamed about sex, and they're not taught to understand and teach sex in a healthy manner to people, where they understand that sex between a man and a woman is an intimate act where men and women come together mentally, spiritually, and emotionally with a partner that they love. That's what sex is all about. And another part of sexual education is learning about your body as related to sex, and not only learning about the physical development of your body, but learning about having a relationship with a woman, because the way men and women have sex is different. I talk about this in the man crisis and the woman crisis. And again, many women wind up getting exploited by the adult film industry because they have physical sex acts, but they don't understand the mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects. And the same thing goes for the men. They don't understand that they're giving parts of themselves to another person. And all of this giving yourself away, if you give it to the wrong person, makes you wind up feeling hollow and empty, and makes you wind up feeling hollow and empty because you're not really connecting with a person mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, and forming those mental, emotional, and spiritual bonds with another person, because you are joining your body with another person. I mean, these are the things that people don't talk about sex as related to many of the content out here, because we focus on the physical and not the emotional, mental, or spiritual. And again, when you call yourself saying you're going to ban pornography, we don't talk about those other mental, spiritual, and emotional aspects of sex. It all becomes focused on the physical, and it becomes focused on this physical because people are caught up in the taboos. And as they're caught up in the taboos and exploring things from a curiosity perspective, and again, entering into the secret world and not the open world, what happens is that they wind up on the road to sexual deviancy. And what happens when you have people involved in sexual deviancy is it puts people on the road to committing sex crimes. So when I listen to Candice Owens and her generalized statement, it really shows her lack of understanding about sex, and again, not understanding where pornography is as related to the First Amendment of our Constitution. Now, when it comes to our First Amendment, again, people have the right to freedom of speech and freedom of expression, and part of that is protecting the speech we don't like. And again, with adult entertainment, I understand what it is, and again, I understand that, yes, it is out here. I understand that it's people, again, having sex, participating in simulated sex acts, because most of the sex you see in those adult films is just the physical act, and that's why I say it's a fake act, similar to pro wrestling, because the two performers are just acting. And again, banning the act will basically lead to the act becoming taboo. And as I see it, when it comes to the adult entertainment industry, yes, it's out here. And again, it's part of our whole argument of free speech. Yes, it's out here for people to find. But the whole thing is that if you give your children a good sexual education, they won't be out here looking to explore the adult entertainment industry and its taboos, and look at it from a taboo perspective, where they're getting some sort of rush or high from watching it in secret. No, they will see it out in the open, understand what it is, and as they understand what it is, they will just walk away from it, like I did when I got older, because as a Gen Xer, I grew up in the 80s, where they were basically promoting this as the sexual shame, as the norm, and promoting adult entertainment as this taboo. And under peer pressure, I got caught up in that stuff early on when I was a kid, looking at Playboys and Victoria's Secret catalogs and stuff like that. But the whole thing is, as I got older, I understood what this material was. And as I understood that it basically was not real, that it was just acting, it was fake, it was made up. And again, Madison Avenue in Hollywood and the adult industry wanted to control a man's sexuality. I understood the way I took power was to learn about the whole healthy perspective on sex, first from the Bible, then from reading different websites like theclitoris.com and different other websites which talk about healthy sexual expression. And again, this helped me to get an understanding of sex so that I would not need to be getting upset about this straw man argument that Candice Owens is proposing, because I understand that that straw man argument that Candice Owens is proposing is one that would not be constructive. No, what happens is that we've got generations who got a sexual miseducation, and as a result of that sexual miseducation, they look to go to adult entertainment to learn about sex, and as a result of them learning the sexual miseducation that we all got during the 1960s sexual revolution, this is why people are out here looking at adult entertainment and thinking that's real sex, when all of that is just acting and it's just completely fake. All of that is completely fake because in most cases the performers, both male and female, are taking drugs. Many of them are pretending to be receiving pleasure. It's not an intimate act, and even worse, we're not getting to see the emotional bond between the man and the woman. That's the whole thing that makes this sex act, again, completely phony. It makes it phony because the acts that you're seeing are basically, again, like WWE wrestling. They're staged and choreographed. They're made to make you feel an emotion and manipulate you on your emotions because you don't have a good understanding of what those emotions are. And again, this psychological weapon can only be weaponized against those who do not have a healthy sex education. Only those who have a sexual miseducation will sit there and watch adult entertainment and believe that it is something that is real. That's the way it was when I was an adolescent growing up back in the day. But as I got older, I understood what this was. And again, the ultimate thing that allows us to learn is to keep this media out here so that people can learn what it is and learn as they get that sexual education, they will basically leave it right there. I mean, that's what I do these days. Basically, don't even pay this stuff any attention because I know that the women who were in Playboy were mostly airbrushed, and as technology went on, got photoshopped. Many of the videos you see are basically, again, stage performers, and once you understand what real sex is, you start to look at this media and you see it for what it is, and you basically start paying it any attention, and you move on with your life, and you understand, yeah, there's pornography out there, but I don't need to watch it. And again, it's that person's constitutional right to watch whatever they want. But if I get an education, I don't really need this stuff, and I can move on with my life. And again, you can see through somebody like Candice Owens, who's basically an opportunist. and an opportunist looking to go out here and looking to try to build controversy based on sex because she has no real talking points of her own. She can't come up with logical arguments to basically be able to sell herself. And what this bootlick is looking to do is looking to, again, find herself a place in the right or the far right that will give her a job. Maybe Eric July could go out here and hire her to do something. But the whole thing is, now that Ben Shapiro has kicked her off the Daily Wire, she's looking to find another wire to jump on. And what, ironically, is she's looking to do is looking to sell herself with sex, and looking to sell herself with sex because she cannot go out here and sell herself. And because she can't sell herself, what she's looking to do is looking to sell herself with sex because she knows that she basically doesn't have any sort of platform to stand on. And most black, now that she can't get the white left or the right to talk to her, or the black community to talk to her, she knows that she's basically on the road to bust downtown, and she knows that her social marketplace value is now about 50 to 70% off the original social marketplace price because everybody sees through her far right talking points, and they see right through it as related to adult entertainment, because banning adult entertainment, again, isn't going to make things better in this society. It would make it a lot worse, but it makes it better for Candice Owens because she can get attention for herself. And as she looks to get attention for herself, she's looking to try to generate controversy over a subject that basically everybody should just ignore because, again, yeah, these sites are out here. You can go watch your Pornhubs, your X-Hamsters, your X-Videos, your Spank Banks, all of these adult sites. And again, the content on there, once you find out it's fake, you'll just basically, again, move on. But the whole thing is Candice Owens wants to appeal to the sexually ignorant and the sexually miseducated. But if you get a sexual education, you can see the BS that Candice Owens is on is real. Now, if you want to learn more about what leads to people heading down these roads of the secret world as related to sexual taboos and how it destroys their lives, you can pick up my books, The Man Crisis and The Woman Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Man Crisis and The Woman Crisis at other online booksellers like Draft the Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and you can find it at big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you'd like to see me make more videos talking about different issues, you can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited. ISIS, All That Glitters. The Goddess Next Door takes on a bikini-clad bank robber in this action-packed, all-new ISIS series adventure. Get ISIS, All That Glitters in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today. Now available in paperback and e-readers. ISIS, The Beauty Myth. Learn the beauty secrets of the Goddess Next Door in this action-packed ISIS series adventure. Get ISIS, The Beauty Myth at online booksellers everywhere today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.